I know we are discussing in this session women and their mental health journeys. What about men? I mean, how are their challenges different, and how is their caregiving or treatment different?
Yeah. I think just to say that this book is also 11 women. We hope that it is the beginning of a conversation. We hope the men will follow, as is the norm. But I think mental health conversations tend to come easier with women. It's also the bulk of the problem. There are so many invisible challenges that women go through. Everything from, postpartum, menopause, menstruation, sexual abuse, so many challenges that women go through, the caregiving burden on women. And so it is different. And Dr. Lakshmi will add to this in terms of sort of the various other social determinants that impact women adversely. When it comes to men's mental health, it's really time to talk about it, because it is very, very hard. This is the social conditioning that we grow up with. Men don't cry. Boys who talk about their feelings are weak. The man's role is the provider, and if you're not successful at your work and providing for a family of, 5 or 6, then you are a letdown. So there are these images that we have of how men need to show up in society. That is a real problem. Same stereotyping exists for women. So I think if we just bring ourselves down to a basic human being level and say, what are the things that make me who I am? Once you strip away all the labels and all the achievements and the professional pathways, really as human beings, we are all dealing with a sense of identity, a question around that. Where are we getting our sense of self-worth? What are the fears and insecurities that are driving us? Our relationship with guilt, shame, it's all the same. So men need to talk about it, and there need to be forums for that. But maybe you have some statistic to offer as well.
So what I would say is, when it comes to a serious mental health condition, some studies, of course, show slightly different patterns, but largely there are no gender variations, so to say. But what is gendered is in the nature in which the experience plays out. What kind of setbacks do you face as a result of social exclusion? So for instance, you've been a homeless man with a psychosocial disability, and it's time for you to return to your family, or you seek to return back to your family. You may find it far more difficult if you do not meet the normative expectations of what a working man needs to be. A man needs to be a provider. For a woman, it will be very different because of the gendered nature of the problem. So I think the experiences are different. What we do know from research, though, is that if you're a woman, if you come from a caste-oppressed location, if you live in poverty, your risks, if you develop a serious mental health condition, of descending into further, what we call a social drift, further into poverty and homelessness, are manifold. Women also do the larger part of caregiving. So if you look at the Banyan's database, on any single day, you do a filter of what is the gender of carers, not that there aren't men. Largely it falls on the woman. So I think the gendered nature of how each one is located within society shapes your mental health experience. And that, I would say, is the difference, rather than gross variations in terms of who faces mental health conditions in and itself more.
Yeah. I can share an anecdote from my personal life. My younger brother, after spending 10 years caregiving to my mother with schizophrenia, when he came back, the pressure on him as a young 22-year-old was to play catch-up with his friends so that he can also integrate into society, he can also get a job, he can also start earning and building a family and all of that. And that's really what, was the problem, that expectation, because he came back, he within 2 months topped the A-levels, got into Cambridge, studied economics honors, started a startup, wanted to raise money, really wanting to the 10-year gap that he had, in his mind, the main thing was, how do I quickly catch up and become the normal male, with all the right attributes and worthy of raising a family. I think that pressure, really, eventually, is what he gave into. If I was to look at all the notes that he left us, it was really about saying, I'm sorry to disappoint everybody. I'm sorry that I was too weak to continue suffering, and I didn't want to burden anyone else, and so therefore, so I think it's so invisible how much men carry, and it really is important to recognize that we are reeling within ourselves, and it's sort of toxic, and these things don't go away. So I think the one thing that one can accept is that any of these things, men, women, any gender, when you don't deal with it, it doesn't go away, it catches up. My brother did all of that, he went to Cambridge, he did everything, but eventually at 38, it all got to him, and he was ready to, in a way, take his life and his death decision in his own hands. So I think for a lot of people, and especially for men, it is left, and you look at this in the suicide rates and things, it becomes clear. Also today, for the age of 15 to 29, the #1 cause of death is suicide. And it is more skewed for the men than for the women. And so we have to look at suppression. We have to look at why is it that we are not creating that space and context, that allowance within men to talk about their challenges and their issues or whatever they've been through. There has to be a book on men's mental health. I would be very happy to talk to any men in this room who want to bring their stories into a book like this. I hope that we can do many languages and go across genders and really be able to build on this as a movement